One. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Boilon here, and welcome back to another video on Marvel Strike Force. Today we have a bit of a special guest with us here. Today we have Gangster KT here on the Boilon channel. His first visit to the channel, and hopefully not the last. So hey, what's going on?
Yeah, hey, thanks for having me, Boilin. Really excited to be on here today and talking about some unique gear upgrades with you. I think something really interesting and important in the game. And man, you've been someone I've watched and gotten a lot of advice from on resource management, just a lot of different parts of this game. So pumped to be talking to you today. Thank you.
Yeah, so we're here to talk about as Gangsta KT likes to call it, G17.5. And it's a
Mhm.
particular piece in your G18 kind of upgrades when you're about to do that, and why it's such a crazy amount of stats. And we're going to take a look at that for some of the newer characters, especially from Bifrost onwards. Also, we did do a video on his channel as well. I'll link that in the description below because I don't know if my video is going to necessarily come out before his, and I don't know in which order that is. So if the link doesn't work, check it later because there will be a video on his channel with me on it too. So do check that out and go over there, subscribe. And so otherwise, if you're ready to go, gangsta, let's boil this down.
Let's boil it down.
Okay, so I want to kind of start here. And last night I finally took Black Hat to level 95, and I was looking. Well, I remembered what you said about this, and I was like, okay, let's do this. So this is what we're gonna call, this is the unique piece, the unique gear piece on the left for all the characters. This is Black Cat's, and you can see the stats that that is the default, the base stats that it gives here. So 130,000 health, 9,000 damage, and focus and resistance. And when I equipped it, it's like skyrockets. So this is 130,000 health, 507,000 health, and over 2.5 times the damage. It's insane. When did you first learn about this? Because I heard it from you. Honestly, if I didn't watch your video, I wouldn't have known.
Yeah, we'll appreciate that. And I first found this on Vol for the exact same thing you were doing. I actually didn't even notice what the gear piece was, but I upgraded that piece on Vol, and when these numbers flashed across the screen, I was just really taken aback. I mean, those types of numbers are what you see from characters, right? Like from
Right.
whole character stats on older
That's
characters.
actually, funny you say that because I want to go back into my roster and find, I don't know, my 75 Miss Marvel Hardlight, who should be higher. That's more hit points than she has right now. She's got 450,000 at 75, 106k power, and that upgrade is like more than her entire health pool that I have right now. I do need to
That's
upgrade her higher,
insane.
but that's just what I mean. That comparative is nuts. Like it is crazy, and for me, like, and I don't know how many people are like me, but I don't normally upgrade piece by piece, so I wouldn't have found this out. I normally wait until I could upgrade everything, and then I do it all at the same time. So maybe that's just a difference for some people who maybe do piece by piece, and people who wait for everything. I don't know how many people are in each category, but like yeah, I don't normally add them in one at a time. And so I probably wouldn't have noticed this because when you do upgrade everything, it kind of just, I guess now it just kind of like goes right to the upgrade screen. So you might even miss
Yep.
this.
Yep.
So I guess you must have done piece by piece, and then that's how you found out.
Yeah, and I think it's a great point. That's why this is pretty important for people to know right now, because I think when the time in the game where most people do piece, or I'm sorry, do full upgrades at once instead of piece by piece is Dark Dimension, right? That's where you always hear like, don't upgrade your characters till you have them
Waiting.
already.
Yep.
And missing out on this huge upgrade is a significant opportunity cost. And it's not at the bottleneck. It's not taking the T18 pieces.
Yep.
So I think even if you aren't ready to take them up for D6, you need to do this upgrade. It's way too valuable to miss.
And even that 21,000 damage was like 25% of her total damage stat that I have right now. And so
Yeah.
it's an insane amount of you should notice this like right away as soon as you equip it. So you can see that I have over 2 million health, and that's a dramatic increase on her survivability or anywhere that you're using her really. And most people are using her everywhere now because she's a good
Yeah.
character. And this happened from, or at least you noticed, and then I kind of looked it up, was from Bifrost last patch onwards. Now it's not every character. Apparently, Big Time Spidey doesn't have it. I was checking Big Time Spidey here on the side here, and his unique piece from 17 to 18 is only 20,000 health. That seems quite low. compared to the numbers that we're seeing on the other characters.
Yeah, that's more standard range,
So
kind of what we're used to.
looks like they skipped it, but they do have it for Ronin and for Mockingbird as well. There's some pretty large numbers. It might be hard to see for some people because if I zoom in, it might there's 90,000 health there on Mockingbird, and Ronin's about 90,000 health, so that'll scale as well. And for me, what I was wondering was, how do we get to 507,000? Okay, so there's different ways that obviously influence the numbers. There's yellow stars, red stars, passives. The 50% health passive must be in there as well. And then, of course, the Stark Tech, which I believe is 25%. So there's a lot
Yep.
of percentages, a lot of multiplicative numbers going on here. But I tried to like do that, and I didn't. And maybe your base level also counts, but she does need to be 95 to equip that. So I don't know. Like there's yes, I'm the numbers guy, but this has kind of eluded me a little bit, and I don't know what their formula is for calculating stat numbers completely. And if there's anyone out
Yep.
there in the community that might know a little bit more than me on this, please comment down below, because I just like I can't get to 507,000. I'm not sure in what you're multiplying exactly. Are you taking the what it was before then? Time, there's so many ways that you could do this, and I'm not sure how to get to that number because it's a lot.
Yeah,
That's
it's a
it.
lot.
Like I don't think
That's
they've
what
ever told
matters.
us, but yeah, that's what
Yeah,
matters is a lot. So do this if you, especially for the characters that you are going to be upgrading. That's Bifrost onwards, with the exception of Spidey Big Time and the rework characters. I don't think Loki's going to have it, and I don't think Thing and Coulson have it either for New Avengers. But otherwise, and that's why I wanted to bring up my character chart, just so people are aware of who this does work for. So all of the Bifrost characters, with the exception of Loki's rework, no Big Time Spidey, but it is on Super Skrull, for the handful of, I don't know, less than 100 people that have them. I don't know what it's at these
not
days,
me.
but it's not a lot. But anyways, if one of you are watching my video, then yeah, make sure, I'm sure you have them maxed out anyways because it's Super
They
Skrull.
have this
But
piece.
just
Yep.
in case, then make sure you put the unique on there. But otherwise, Secret Defenders, we have Photon, Miss Marvel, Ghost Rider, Black Cat, those four, and of course, and the other one. And so I'm assuming onwards, going forward, we're going to see that as well. We don't know. Actually, it's funny because there's going to be a patch next week, I think, and we don't know who the rest of the characters are yet.
Yeah,
All we know is
and
Tigra, and that's it. There's
and
a huge
Scopely
blank
told us.
here.
Yeah, and Scopely told us T18 was going to be a big upgrade, right? And the upgrade itself, not counting the pieces, is 32%, and that's the biggest we've ever seen. That's huge
Yeah.
to all stats. But then this piece on top of it, I mean that's a whole different character when you add all
So
those things up by doing all this.
right. So my question actually is because they said that it was a huge increase in the stats when you upgrade to Gear 18, but is that actually including that unique piece? Is that why it's such a big increase? Is because of this one piece? Is that where a lot of the stats are actually coming from? And the actual upgrade itself isn't as
It's
much as
both.
that?
So the upgrade itself is 32% to all stats across the board, not counting
after
that piece.
after the gear's in. Oh, okay,
Yep.
because
No,
I didn't
not
actually
counting
check
any of
it.
the gear. Just the pure upgrade itself. Just once you have all the gear equipped and then you click that upgrade button, that's a 32% across the board stat upgrade. So this piece of gear is on top of that. So I mean, it's not exaggerating to say you're almost getting close to like a 50% upgrade if you include this piece of gear and that T18.
Yeah, so I'm curious. So I guess on MSF.gg, I just checked the unique piece, and then I recalculated. Now I don't have any ISOs equipped, but I'm just curious. That one, this is less than my character, but 1.96 million health. And I just wanted to see, if you upgrade to G18 and then I recalculate again, it doesn't seem to suggest that the upgrade is. Well, maybe I should add the ISOs just to make sure that it's somewhat accurate. Let's go blue for striker. Fine, we'll give striker. Calculate that. Okay, so maybe that makes a difference. 2.7 million. Let's go back. That's with gear 18. 2.7 million. I think that's 7.7. I know we don't have 7.7 Black Hats, but let's go back to 17 and check mark the unique piece because I just want to see what the difference in that health number is. So it doesn't seem like, at least in the health category, that the actual upgrade itself to 18 contributes, at least in the health category. I wasn't looking at the damage. But
Well, and one interesting thing, and I'll look into this. I hadn't thought of it, but my T18 32% number is from like when it came out. I was looking at Red Hawk. I was looking at just all the characters that were the best at that time. I wonder if they reduced what the upgrade is for the upgrade itself on these characters since it had such a big unique piece upgrade. And I'll dig into that. I don't know.
yeah, well, so
Um,
G18. When did what patch? Do you remember what patch G18 came out? I don't remember. I think it was whenever the incursion raids came out, which um, I have my sheets open here, so I don't know like what range here that sort of we started seeing incursion rates. It might have been invaders, or was it after? Was it in this patch like March April? The reason why I say this is because maybe that the upgrade is larger for older characters, but now that we're seeing that huge unique piece on these newer characters, that the upgrade itself on these specific characters onwards aren't that big, and where the majority of the stats is lumped into that unique.
yeah, and I have a screenshot of my T18 upgrade on Miss Marvel. So I'll check that out. I can check the numbers. I didn't look at them that closely, but I'll check that out.
Yeah, I'm really wondering if there's a difference between I guess post patch 7.2 here and pre patch 7.2 in terms of the actual upgrade,
Yeah,
because
that
according to MSF.gg, Black Cat's not getting a lot of stats after the upgrade. And so I don't know the
interesting.
answer because I haven't been checking every character, and I'm not going to do that on the video here. But it seems to suggest that at least the newer characters, it's lumped into the actual unique piece that we're talking about.
Yeah, maybe they did displace the upgrade from what it used to be, and I'll shoot you a note when I can run the math on Miss Marvel here
Yeah.
after we record.
Well, I mean, it's not Miss Marvel should be the same roughly as Black Cat. More of the characters before that, whether or not, like, say for Nova, who came before that, maybe he needs to get upgraded to 18 to see that large stat bump, whereas the others don't. I don't know if you really knew this, but like in the past, we had issues where when characters had rework back in the Web Warrior reworks days. It's a while back now. But OG Spider-Man, when he got a rework for the Web Warriors rework, he didn't get the stat bumps from the rework until he hit Gear Tier 14, because it was
Interesting.
because the rework stats, the base stats, were caked into G14 for whatever reason, and this was a thing in the past where the way that stats were reworked was different for older characters, and so I'm wondering if there's this kind of divide here at patch 7.42 where
Yeah,
we're at where things are acting a little bit different as far as the stats go.
kind of changing the approach. Yeah, and I think you may be right, and it's good to understand that. But I think your original point still, like, regardless, equip this
Yeah,
piece
yeah,
of
yeah,
gear,
no,
right?
yeah, yeah, for sure. And especially for those characters onwards, I think from Bifrost onwards, especially Vol. I think the biggest contenders I think for this is going to be Vol and Black Cat for sure. I think a lot of people are
Yep.
maxing those characters out. Those are characters that you really need to do ASAP. I was because I'm lazy. I always refer back to my character sheet. Uh, Other than that, though, I actually I have a Sylvie at 95. Where's my Sylvie? Ugh,
Good for
there's
you.
so many characters. I'd have to like filter again. Bifrost. Yeah, so I did. I put it into Sylvie. And
Okay.
I did this the other day because I had a ton of augmented molecular cloth, and I said, okay. Now the funny thing is I'm not sure if I'm going to be taking her to Dark Dimension 6 anymore. She was on my list. That being said, it's just such a huge stat improvement, and I'm probably going to make use of it right now in Cosmic Crucible because I do have her on the defense, the Bifrost team on the defense in my raid room. So the
Yeah.
stats on this is still, even though it's only 76,000 on paper here, it actually converted into like well over like 200,000 plus for Sylvie stats for health. So
Yeah.
it's a very significant increase. I think it was just her that I did it because I think she's the only one that I have that high. I do have. I'm surprised I have 95 on. Yeah, we talked about this in your video. I definitely went over on this one. I didn't
95.
realize.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't realize I went that far. That's my bad. And also on regular Loki too. But I wish I could take some gold back and put it back into Beta Ray Bill or something, but oops. So yeah, so for those characters that you are building, especially in the Secret Defender, a lot of people are gonna be maxing out Secret Defenders as well. I don't
Yep.
have the miasma for this, but even Robbie's 125,000 health. That it's gonna be way
Crazy.
more than that. It's gonna be like more like closer to 300,000 probably that he's gonna benefit from this. So yeah, some real crazy numbers. So even if you're not ready to upgrade G18, make sure you put in this piece here. If you're going to take them to 95, you're going to get an insane amount of stat boost just from that one piece alone. And I want to thank you for, bringing that to my attention. because I honestly had no idea, because I'm not that type of person to upgrade one piece at a time. I do it when I'm ready, and
Yeah,
so in the meantime, even if I'm probably gonna take Robbie anyways to Dark Dimension 6 because he's a great city character. But in the meantime, I can put this one on while I wait for the rest of it, because it's such an
absolutely.
insane amount of stats that if you're gonna do that, if you're gonna go up that high, do that piece is the takeaway, I think.
Absolutely. That's my initial video. I said if you go T17, do T17.5 unless it's going to impact your DD6 progress because of the unique on that piece. That's the one lookout.
Yeah, so for Ghost Rider, for me, because I'm actually now planning on taking Doom to DD6, so now we have some conflict here with the with the miasma. Unfortunately, as much as I want to do that for Ghost Rider, I'm gonna have to wait on him. But if you're not conflicted like I am with uniques and you have a lot for a certain character, definitely do that. I think is the takeaway.
Yeah. And I'll say we talked a lot, and I know you cover a lot like resource optimization. With this, to me, the value of the unique itself went up, and I'm actually looking at buying these uniques more than what I used to. I'll occasionally buy them in the supply store, the ones I really need. I didn't used to do that outside of maybe some for DD6. I'm buying them in other stores where I can. I'm almost starting to stockpile these. We don't know what next patch is going to
Yeah.
bring as far as the many uniques we need, but their value just went up a ton.
So what's your when you're stockpiling these? How many do you try to keep, even if you don't have a character that you're using right now for it? Like, what's your 60, 80 of them, or enough to get to
Yeah,
G18? Maybe
Yeah, I'd say 60 to 70 range, and don't remember the exact math to do all three to get to G18. But in that ballpark is where I try and keep them. Now,
25.
again, if I have one I don't need at all, I'm not going and buying it any chance I get. Like I don't want to exaggerate it,
Mm.
but I've definitely increased the value of these and am buying them more than I used to.
Yeah, 65 to get a straight character up to G18. So I have, obviously there's tons of ones that are maybe not used as much, and so that's, I think, it may be a good place to start. Just to make sure you have that, because you never know when a new character is going to come out that's going to be really great, and then, oh crap, I don't have the uniques to upgrade his gear tier. So that's another
Yeah, and you
consideration to think about.
can't get them quickly.
Not fast. I mean, they are in the stores sometimes, and they're in which orb? They're only in one of the orbs reliably. I think it's just the teal gear raid orb, actually. So
Yep,
that's where you find most of it. So if you don't have that, I mean, there's only so much you can get. Otherwise, it's a waiting game for a lot of times. So,
yep.
well, I want to thank you for joining me on this. Is there anything last minute comments about the Gear 17.5 that we didn't cover that
No, I think
did
you
we get
nailed
it?
it. And you really hit the highlights, the lookouts, and just appreciate you covering this. I do think it's important, and surprised this hasn't gained more traction and more. I know I joked with you that's because I have 400 viewers, but I think it's something that really should be a bigger deal in the community, and people should plan around this because it does change these matches. It's not even close to negligible. So
Yeah,
appreciate
like
you
I said,
covering it.
I was in utter shock when I equipped that, and I saw how much I was getting out of it. I need to find like some shock thumbnail for me to put like a shock face. Oh my god, because it was that crazy. Like I didn't think I was gonna get that much, and so it's crazy. Yeah, if you haven't done it, if you haven't done it for these characters, especially for Black Hat, go and do it, because you're gonna do it anyways. You might as well do it now.
Completely agree.
All right, so thanks for having me on the channel. I'm going to place a link to Gangster KT in the description down below. Go check out his channel. And again, there will be, I don't know in which order necessarily, there will be a video with me on it on his channel. So go watch that as well. And you can get twice the Boilon if you want as well over there. And definitely hit the subscribe button for him. I'm sure he'd greatly appreciate that.
Yep. Thanks a lot, boy. Again, it's a pleasure being on here with you, kind of wild, and keep doing what you're doing. You give so much good info to the community, and thanks for having me.
Not a problem. So until next time, everybody, stay safe and healthy. And I'll see you all later. Boilon and Gangster KT.